No, but what I'm saying is you wouldn't talk in those terms.
Right, Tim. So if we're
you've got
talking about
this
week 3,
next week, and the week you're just talking 1 week terms because it's a week in between each play day. So you'd say
we're in week 1 right now.
We've got 1 week off.
We're in week 1.
You wouldn't say we're not here for the next couple of weeks.
We're not here for the next 2 weeks.
We are though, aren't we? Because next week is the week after, and then we're back for the second week. Just go away from me. Right, Koi versus. I've had enough today.
I've been waiting for that outcome.
Oh, honestly, you've pushed me to absolute breaking point.
Tim, main stairs.
You've pushed me to breaking point today. I don't know what it is.
I think it's 2 days in a row.
I don't know why you got out of bed and thought, I'm going to see if I can push him over the edge today. But that really has been your thought process. Right, Dorkaby, Nog are our bands. It's Chalet. It's Koi versus Wolves. Valkyrie is going to be one as well. And there comes Echo. Right, talk to me about some bands. Dorkaby and Echo are a little bit unusual. I mean, Echo obviously being targeted at Koi there, particularly, and Deepak, it is a target man.
I love how you said talk to me about some bands and then carried on talking to yourself.
Because I knew that you were just going to be a child. That's why. You were still doing this silly giggle, and I knew that you weren't going to come back and talk about the bands. That's why I just gave up on it. I was like, right, I'll do this then.
This is highly unprofessional, Tim. I really wish you wouldn't rant like this on a professional broadcast.
It's ridiculous.
You know, it's the start of Blast new season and you're really letting your emotions take over.
I'm not biting anymore. I'm not doing.
Oh, okay.
Talk about round 1.
Come on, let Tim talk about round 1.
It's going to be in Bar and Gaming. Round 1's going to be in Bar and Gaming. We've got Koi on the attack. Wolves will start on the defence. Obviously, the particularly fascinating point about Wolves is that new player coming in. We've got Deadshot, who is going to be on the Azami this time around, taken over from Rise, who, as we know, has been a pretty key part of the Wolves roster over the last couple of years, you know, through different orgs, etc. Most recently Wolves, a big part of it. So to just drop off like that, you know, and to have to replace him and to change it around, they've been such a stable roster for a while. You know, we'll see how they handle that.
Yeah, what I do appreciate about Deadshot was whenever I've seen his name previously, he hasn't had the O, it's been Dead SHT, which sounds like a certain word that implies that actually he's really bad, when I'm sure he's not. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been picked up by Wolves. Really excited to see what he delivers, though. Again, is the player to watch out for in this game. Equally, Koi, we are watching out for them as an overall team, given how yesterday went down. So let's see how things shape up. We've got the Brava on side, immediately jammed out there. This is the wonderful thing. The Brava's trying to hack the camera at the same time that they've got the bulletproof camera shooting EMP blasts out the other side. I thought you were running away from me then, Tim. He did mute himself, just so you're aware.
We're going to have the first kill coming in. It's going to be Noodle picking it up. Koi obviously having a difficult day yesterday. There's not really much that they can do necessarily in terms of you know, as I said, 24 hours it's a quick turnaround to start fixing things. So Koi are not so much going to be looking, I think, to have changed or to fix anything specifically. It's going to be about coming out and getting the performances that they should be showing us, which was something else that was a little bit lacking yesterday. A good entry kill coming in. That's something they can build on. Unfortunate for Deadshot. First action inside of EUL is going to be to take an entry death, but I'm sure that we'll see more as the game goes on.
We absolutely will, yeah. It's far from the end of the world when in what the first round you're being domed. It's kind of like it's a rite of initiation, a rite of passage to get yourself started. Koi starting out with 2 kills in the round. They're making a third as Noodle, like some action shot repelling outside the window, gets Shinka into yet another for leader. It's P4 left all alone, and he will do absolutely nothing. Koi with an emphatic first round, get a flawless one, Tim.
Well, there we go. You know, we've said, fresh edit coming in here on the analyst desk, we've been looking at a few teams today thinking, yeah, we're going to have a turnaround, surely. Maybe Koi is going to be the one and only of them that will actually deliver that turnaround. It's only 1 round in, but what a round it was. A flawless start for them, and honestly, I think that will absolutely work wonders for the mental. You know, this is a team that really struggled yesterday, and they will have expected better of themselves, so to be able to come in here and just have that sort of opener, get the flawless, and to think, you know what, this is not going to happen again today. We're not having any more of this, and against a good team like Wolves as well, that's a really, really good start for them.
And I'm not going to lie, for Wolves, when I saw coming onto this map, I was like, Chalet's been one of their go-to maps now for the longest of times. In fact, it was their top-rated map, their highest priority pick for a good few months. And I was really nervous for Koi coming in. I know they like the map as well, but I don't think it's their strongest. It was second or third prep for them, if I can remember rightly, looking back towards SI. But a couple of roster changes coming in can completely change the way that a team perceives the map pool. These two new players come in. They've got different preferences on their own maps that they know particularly well. They've got different ideas on how to play the map, and that can very quickly transform a team's banning and pick strategy when it comes round to the map veto. So far from round one, you'll be looking at it and saying Koi feel very, very comfortable on this map. We'll see how it develops as we continue on the way forwards.
Round two is going to see a kitchen and dining attack. Noodle straight away working towards opening up solo windows. Leon will go up there and be the player that's going to take up that position for the time being. Drone going in. He's not going to see Deadshot. It's not actually Deadshot. It was so that it was the Azami. Assumed that they would be on the same, but no, Mowgli has switched across to the Azami, and Deadshot's picking up the Alibi instead. P4 manages to pick up the opener, this time onto Leader, so going the opposite way to the one that it did back in round one, and we will see whether that has a difference on the outcome or not. Deepak manages to pick up P4 in a very late trade, leaving us now 4 versus 4 inside the first minute.
Good start. It's again this kind of back and forth, the 1-for-1 so far. It's all about the map control they start to establish off the back of this, mind you. It is going to slowly force Wolves back here as they start to be aware of the aggression that's coming forwards. Nades coming in over the top in towards this red hole from Cryin. On the step forward, though, they're just conscious anyone else may try and rotate down. The whole idea there really is once the nade comes through, you expect there to be a swing of some kind coming out from the bottom of Solar, but there was no response coming in from the players of Wolves. Digging in just that little bit deeper, at least for now.
Bibu's just going to hold his position for the time being until forced otherwise. They want to keep the verticals in place. Deepak just puts in the smoke arrows ahead of Noodle, allowing him to move up West Main Stairs and get himself back against the wall there. You can also see that the thorn trap that was just at the top of the stairs had been neutralised as well. Deadshot managing to pick up Leon, but 2 kills coming in for Koi, leaving us now 3v2. Noodle inside of sight, taking utility down. Ooh, unlucky. Deadshot there, not to find his man, not to find that kill with the Alibi, but there is an opportunity for the diffuser to go down, and Koi are going to take it in. They're going to complete it. That leaves us 3 versus 2, 2 versus 2 as Deadshot finds one. They're going to have to find a few more though.
Deepak almost loses his life to the vertical as well, and I thought for a second there's just no way Wolves can retake this. They've lost control of the site. They're fighting back into their own setup against Koi, who have stormed and taken control of the site, but Deadshot has managed to force them away. They're still going to get the disable into. They've got about 10 seconds to make this work before it is too late. They've got to go now.
They really do. Deepak's just going to hold that long angle. Deadshot gets onto the counter diffuse. Can he stick this? Are they aware? I'm not sure. He does get shut down in the end. Bibu cannot offer the cover. Close down back Cryin, and that is going to be another round for Koi. It's 2-0.
All right, that one a little bit closer at least. We did see more of a fight back from Wolves. It's hard to fight back less after a flawless round, admittedly. But that brings us up towards ending out that first quarter of the game. We get over round 3, and if Koi take it away, again, that's the classic time that we see so many coaches step in and say, right, here are the things going wrong. Here's what we have to course correct across these next 3 rounds to battle our way in. Now, looking at Chalet, although the stats from the 6 Invitational, again, were very, very balanced between 49 and 61% was the low and high of defender win rates. Chalet sat quite nicely in there, thinking about 53% or so. Many would consider it to be a very attacker, not favoured, but an attacker-friendly map at the same time. So truthfully, with how I think it should go, if they get up to 3-0, Wolves need to battle their way back into 3-3, and they can be happy with that scoreline.
Banshee on West Main Stairs, that was somewhere obviously that they suffered from last time. They did have the Razor Bloom there on the stairs, but we did see that it had been neutralised when the Ash of Noodle wandered up West Main Stairs. He was able to just avoid that walk on into sight and cause those problems. So they need to just be aware that the same thing doesn't happen with the Banshee, having that reliance on needing to be aware of somebody moving up there. They maybe need to be looking at having a gun trained on that instead. I think a little bit more presence around the map as well just forced Koi, to move a little bit further away. You were holding above, which is absolutely fine, but they just went straight in through Solarium, looked at getting kills. Maybe make a challenge over in Library, maybe just give them a little bit more work to do on the top floor.
Absolutely. Right, in we go then. See if we can get things onto a starting point for Walls. It has been a slow start as commented, but there's still time to warm things into this. Koi starting things out very heavily here, out towards this south side of Bar and Gaming, working their way on the top floor, making use of the Gemini to guide them forwards. Of course, proves as a beautiful bait for the defenders to swing onto and go for a fight, assuming it might be a player, only for the real threat to be right behind it with a rifle pointed in your general direction. So a good bit of early team play from Koi to get themselves inside the building, and now taking good control of these default cams.
Yeah, that's it, just switching that information over. Also able to capture a Banshee as well, so that flips it and the defenders will get caught up in that. P4 is aware. This is just, it's another little improvement almost to the Solus as well, because once those electronic gadgets get captured, she looks in a scanner, she can see that they are then registering that they've been flipped over. So again, another further use for Solus.
Absolutely. Just so oppressive, as we spoke about in our last game as well, to seize all the drones, all the utility in use, seize players on their drones as well, i.e. where the players are when they've got the phones out. So much information being fed back and forth. It's absolutely beautiful. P4 for now at least holding on side of sight, and Mowgli looking to contest up around Piano up here on the top floor. You can see the outlines of Koi largely scattered down towards that south side, orchestrating and showing you exactly where this push is coming in from. For Wolves, a couple of players still hung up towards the north side here, expecting some kind of push to come into Trophy, but as of yet, no one has pushed over towards that side of the building.
Just trying to play that information game, trying to catch out where those defenders are before this final push comes in across the top floor, and that's what's going to happen now as Cryan moves in behind a thrown nade. 50 seconds left to go, and Koi, they just need to be getting a little bit more aggressive now, finding a few kills and pushing themselves forward, taking this control. What a beauty from Noodle. Just hears Zed shot on his left-hand side and manages to pick him up, but Mowgli, he's there for the refrag, and he's going to just deploy those as army Kiba barricades and keep himself safe in bathroom. That could be a big moment for Wolves.
Causing a big grey maze inside the bathroom there as well to try and make it a bit of a nuisance to push into him. And sure enough, Mowgli is still being challenged, forming out more and more of these barricades. But Bibu, he's the rat by the mattress, waiting for someone to step forward. A nice shot from Mowgli onto Leon, who's wondering what the hell's going on. And there comes Bibu springing up, not quite finding a second, but with those 2 kills, Wolves have battled their way back into the round.
Great from Shinka as well. Leader manages to find Bibu, but it's 1v2, 5 seconds left to go. Unlikely that he can finish it. He sees the head but can't find the shot. Shinka closes it out, and that is going to be Wolves taking their first round, not just of the game, but of the Europe League 2023.
Absolutely. Cool. So there we go. We do get that battle back from Wolves. We aren't going to see it's dire, boys. Let's have a chat timeout coming in after round 3. They should carry on as things are from here as we go into a bit of a reset. Wine and Snowmobile going to be the site here in round 4. We saw a lot of interesting takes on this site earlier on. A lot of tricks coming in on towards the wall as well. There is no Kaid. There is no Bandit on side, so we're not going to see denial of the main Snowmobile wall. Instead, there were things like the mirror. I imagine we'll see quite a bit of focus coming in towards that south side, only to be greeted by the mirror, and then it's a case of the attackers to figure out how to get through that.
Already got the Kiba barricade deployed at the rear of the site there, just extends that area of safety. And also, if that back wall gets opened up at the bottom of West Main Stairs, it just allows you to be able to fight through there and just give that protection through to Connector, because that's really the long angle that you're looking for. You get somebody inside of Car Garage and they can just look all the way down there through that breach right through to Connector and just absolutely slice that site in two, and makes it very safe to get in and get a plant. So that Keeper barricade goes a long way towards preventing that.
Absolutely. Right, let's see exactly what the roam game looks like as well coming out from Walls, because as we see on so many sites on this map especially, you need to be getting out in the map and looking to contest as much of it as possible, not all sitting down on the basement itself. You've got the Legion running around upstairs on the top floor. We see a lot of this in Oryx as well, running around with a T5. Here we go. Koi straight in onto this main wall as mentioned, with no real denial coming in from the Bandit or the Kaid. You are going to see this open straight up, but then the question turns in towards this mirror, and this is where things like smokes come in handy, of which Deepek very conveniently has 2 in his back pocket, Tim.
Yeah, at the minute, Cryan and Deepek have remained in place at the breach. Leader is moving round to the rear side of site, looking to get that open. It's exactly what's going to happen as soon as that EMP goes off. So that is now pretty much a lot of the hard breaching done. They will still want that one long angle, but Leader can do that with his 3rd Selma charge as well. So it is definitely possible. They're just holding the long line of sight through sight. Now, Deepek does have diffuser in hand, which would suggest the plant inside. Smoke has been deployed onto the mirror window to to try and prevent Shinka from playing there. Another method could be to get in and clear Mowgli out. You get control of the hatch, but you can also rip up the floor above Mira's head, and you can take that window out.
Absolutely. Well, now they've got the pressure on both sides coming, as you say, so it starts to feel a little bit claustrophobic downstairs in the basement for the side of Wolves. They haven't yet dealt with those that are on the roam, mind you. So Deadshot, for example, is looking to get a little bit busy. You've got P4 upstairs, you've got Mowgli upstairs, 3 players out on the roam looking to be disrupted towards Koi when they start thinking about an execute. And that's what makes me nervous. You've done all the work on the downstairs you need, but you've kind of skipped over steps 1, 2, and 3 of the, flat pack assembly furniture guide, Tim. They haven't done the bare basics. That needs to be completed first.
We've just had a really good look from Leon's point of view at exactly what I was talking about with that Kiba barricade at the beginning of the round and how it cuts out that line of sight all the way through to connector. And this is what happens. Leon has to step inside of sight and gets taken out by Bibu. The trade is there from Leader though, so good progress from Koi. They've got the rear side of sight, and that's allowing Deepek to push in from the front because he doesn't have to worry about the mirror window. He's going to go up and smash it and potentially look for a plant on it instead. That's exactly what he's going to do now. Koi have got some reasonable control here, but Mowgli, he manages to get an important kill, puts the diffuser down on the ground, and P4 from up on high manages to slam Leader and then gets noodled too, and that is going to be the round for Wolves.
One of those I'm looking at there and just thinking, whoa, absolute chaos. Koi not quite able to close things out. But Tim, we've got a nice little fun addition for you. Fresh, what you got to say about that round?
Oh, hello. Welcome. I think Koi started out the game pretty well. I think we talked about them being a vibes team. We talked about them having, these younger players coming in, and they looked very shaky yesterday. They started off with the first couple of rounds very well, but the droning's gone a little bit bad in rounds 3 and 4 there. They've not really been getting those head counts on site, trying to execute without fully understanding where people are, and it's cost them in these last 2 rounds. It's cost them as they're going in sight. We saw Bibu get an important kill in round 3. In round 4 there, they've not taken account of the mirror windows, they've not done anything about the roam, and they've not fully completed their attacks.
Thanks, Fresh.
There we
go.
Voice
of Professor Fresh tuning in. We love it. I love these interjections and ideas.
That's great. Exactly. It's just like you said, just a nice opportunity for Fresh to step in and hit us with his expert opinion, his keen eye that has been all over this game. And as he says, information being an important part of this game, and it's no surprise to see Wolves leaning into that, bringing the Soulless. Let's take the drones out. Let's make it difficult for them. Let's force them to go in there and face check, to not know what's ahead of them. And as he quite rightly says, we've seen that in action a couple of times with Koi losing lives because of it.
Here we go then. So bringing things back up to 2-2 when it started off as that wonderful 2-0. It's been a nice little bit of balance here between the two sides, and it's staying as competitive as we would have hoped. That Brava once again coming back on side. I believe it's the 3rd round we've seen the Brava now, maybe the 2nd. But I'm enjoying that we've actually seen over the last couple of days a good number of teams have tried to make use of it. Some admittedly far more successfully than others. In some cases it just forces the defenders to destroy their own utility. We saw in the earlier game between G2 and Virtus Pro a couple of Banshees being hacked out that then had to be destroyed by the defenders. So again, mixed success so far, but at least we're seeing it in use.
I think that's the key, and it's always going to be what happens at a pro level, is we haven't seen that big sort of killer moment, where the Nitro gets taken out by an ADS or something. And it will happen, but at pro level, it's going to be sort of few and far between. I would expect that it does happen. It's not going to be too common because the drones are going to get taken out quickly. They're going to get shot on sight. These guys' mechanical skill is off the chart, and that's going to be something that happens. But also, it is going to focus more around cameras, around utility, around information, rather than grabbing an ADS. You might grab one if you see it, you're passing, and why not? And one day it might catch a Nitro, but those are going to be the few and far betweens.
I would have been really curious to see what happened then if they'd shot the other opponent's bulletproof with the hack bulletproof, if it did fully disable the camera. I imagine it would have, but it's not an interaction I've seen before. Not being blasted by the EMP blast from a bulletproof.
Brava just throws so much into into the mix. Absolutely free for P4 onto Leader there, and that gives Wolves an early advantage.
It's one of those I was looking at. I thought for a second Leader might get the full spin and be able to tag it back, and Leon here doing the dance to death with Mowgli, but it's Leon coming out on top. A 4 versus 3 for Koi. Looking good so far as we get in towards these last 60 seconds.
Yep, not too bad at all. They've got the vertical. They're going to start working on that. Opening up with the soft breach, just trying to pressure the man behind the mirror now, but that's not going to be easy to move Shinka from there. Just looking through, limited on nades, only 1 left available, and they're going to have to make sure that gets into the right place. Otherwise, they're going to need to to get main lobby or something to try and give them an angle. They have opened up the wall at the top of the main stairs up from basement, but again, unless they can put a body there, there's no reason for Shinka to move.
Oh, I thought he might be walking into death, but no, he turns out to be the Grim Reaper himself. 3v3, down to 3v2. Leon is activated. Cryin denies away the complete ace, but Deepek on a spin. Koi up to 3-2. This is feeling like a real classic Koi versus Wolves derby.
Leon's just won the round for them there. You had that flank up onto top floor, finds a kill, but as that happens, Leon's gone over the stairs and onto those main stairs. He's picked up that angle that I was talking about. Shinka was being allowed to stay behind that mirror, and if you've used the Selma charge to open the wall above main stairs, you gotta use it. You gotta make the most of that opening that you've given yourself, and that's exactly what Leon does. Down onto those stairs, sees that opportunity, takes out the mirror, and from there, the rest of the pile of cards just comes tumbling down.
The house of cards that it's built upon is not particularly strong, Tim. It does mean that Koi still have this opportunity to go up 4-2 on the attacking side here of Chalet. Chalet, we see them go up with that level of advantage, or will Bulls battle their way back in? I love seeing the Capital brought out, by the way. It's something that I first observed in NA. I want to say it was Dark Zero a good while ago, one of the first teams to really explore and use this quite aggressively to assault in towards Mez. In that last round there, we didn't really see it becoming a thing, of course, but here, I'm really excited to see what the use case is. They've identified that they've seen things like mirrors on the map potentially, so it's there as an option to deal with that, but also here potentially to enable control of Solar, to go for a plant behind half wall. They have all these tools to play with, and Deepek is going to be the real orchestrator of that, likely playing on the double window and looking to help smoke areas off.
Here we go then, round 6, final defence for Wolves coming up. They're going to want to lock this up. They don't want to be going in 4-2 down, and it's not been an easy one for them so far. Koi certainly showing us, more of the performances we saw out of them last year rather than the one that we saw yesterday. Koi, a stereotypically slow start inside. We've seen it from them plenty of times before, especially when they start on Cafe. That may be one for them to avoid in future, but certainly showing us much better here on Chalet. Cryin up on the double window, cutting the site in half, but he's just going to dip away for the time being. Won't be able to use the Flores drones effectively from there, so he's going to come down to trophy window, I think. Maybe just try to support from there instead, looking to clear out anybody on trophy stairs. I don't think they're going to get anybody any joy, because there's nobody there at the minute.
He played the same spot earlier on in the Iana as well. It's just kind of his go-to designated spot in their attacks as well, making sure, again, no one can rotate down these stairs and look to cause trouble out towards West Main or even onto the ground floor in general. His whole job is to control that area of the map whilst the rest of the team start getting up for their push forwards, which it feels for the most part like they've done. I'm praying that's a friendly laser sight he's just seen sprayed across that wall, otherwise it's in a very difficult position, but by the looks of it, Koi are indeed down here together. There's two of them on side, thank God for that, and looking to see what happens on the downstairs right there. Now, right at the minute though, no one is really working their way on the downstairs, so two players committed to very little benefit right now, Tim.
Exactly that, and that's something that Koi need to be aware of, but time isn't really something that they've struggled with too much so far, so I think they should be fine. Noodle is actually going to pick up P4, so that's a nice opener for Koi, and it just gives that bit of value to that time spent by those two players down on the basement floor. Not only that, but it's the Solace that they've picked up as well, so a great start for Koi.
It is. It's looking good so far, but now it's about kind of turning it into a round win. As mentioned, they committed two players on the downstairs for the longest time. They have now moved up, and they are aware, and the army most definitely is aware of what is going down. I'd love to just see a hard commit here of chucking like a key barricade on the floor to make it safe, just like that, Tim. Oh. And now he can dance back and forth across it, no problem at all. I love how I literally spoke that one into existence.
Des.Wolves.
Get me in.
Des.Wolves, surely.
Already.
Surely sometime soon. I believe you've got a 1.1 KD for the season, Des. You're ready. Right. Mowgli's going to be trying to use that vertical angle just to keep anybody off the stairs, lock down Solarium, but I don't think that's really where the push is going to be coming from now. Noodle looking to move up blue stairs, but it's too easy. Triggers the Banshee. 1, 2, kiss, kiss, bang, bang. Bibu probably wins the round at that moment. 16 seconds left to go, leveling things up at 3 versus 3.
A very weird round, it feels like, where Koi have sort of stalled out and not been sure how to proceed. They get a kill back down to the 2v2. Bibu and Deadshot just got to hold on, and hold on they will. Bibu finds the triple. Deepek can do nothing by himself as he walks through a Banshee. Round 6 goes the way of Wolves. We've got a perfect 3-3 split, and Professor Fresh has got some more to offer us.
Wolves achieve a 3-3 split on that defence, which is about standard for them. They played 21 rounds of chalet defence at Invitational, 57% round win rate. Here's the big test for them, though, because they can only actually win 2 sites on the attack. When they played at the Invitational, they tried to win dining and kitchen 7 times, and they didn't win it a single time. You can see Koya going there straight away. They also tried to win garage and wine 6 times, didn't win it once. So that's a big pain point for them, that they can only win 2 different sites on the attack, and even then the attack win percentages aren't that great on those sites.
Interesting insight there, Tim, where it's telling you all you need to know. Thank you very much, Fresh, about these 2 sites, of which Koi are starting on one. The downstairs, as well as kitchen and dining, looking to be a little bit of a pain point for Wolves, it feels.
Absolutely. And Koi have obviously done the homework there, leaning right into it.
Fresh, it turns out, with the stats.
The thing is, Fresh, for those who don't know, Fresh is like a walking stat encyclopedia. He's just...
he's also got what most people, Tim, you might not know about these devices.
He does have a tablet and a laptop.
No. They are called laptops.
He does have a tablet and a laptop.
All these magical things
I think... No.
They can tell your stats all day, Tim.
No, you're doing Fresh a disservice there. Because
I'll buy you one for your birthday.
You're doing him a disservice there, because so often we have conversations with Fresh where he doesn't have any technology with him, and he'll say, that's usually about this, and he's always right.
Oh, so. You don't know the truth about him, though, because coming into any conversation, he stares at his laptop, his tablet for half an hour, so he's like, right.
He just steers the conversation to the stats he's learned.
Oh, it's a master manipulator, our Fresh. That's what you don't know.
Right, okay. Well, let it be known that I think it's just that Fresh knows his stuff.
He does. Now, I need to see this. Does that still electrify the wall? I can only assume it does.
I've been interested in this one, the electrification. No, it doesn't.
Okay, Full-on disables it. So where's the
Oh,
device?
no, they've been shot out. They're gone. So, maybe it just destroys it. I've not seen that. I think it just destroys it.
Yeah, because some gadgets do get destroyed. It wouldn't make sense to turn it and keep it electrified, would it? It'd be a bit weird. Here we go. Noodle! Nuclear noodle.
He's gone for another. He's got a
I missed
3K.
that. I was ststaring lovingly at your face, to be fair.
It was too much synergy for anybody to handle, surely, Des. A nice triple kill for Noodle. Just to start him off at the beginning of the round here. And, as Fresh said, in the break between rounds, in the interlude there where he came in, and he said this is going to be a pain point for Wolves. They've struggled to attack these sites, and Noodle is not making it any easier for them. In a 2 versus 5, that is likely to be an advantage for Koi coming in. You'd expect this to go 4-3 now, and the question mark obviously is, are they going to run away with it? A dead shot. He certainly is a dead shot, as he absolutely smashes the man, but he's unaware of the one
dead shot.
Now he's unaware of the one behind the piano wall. Crying steps out and gets that kill, and Koi not rattled by any of this, just quite happy to just proceed with the plan. They've lost 1, that doesn't matter. They know that they'll get that trade back.
Shinka all alone with it all to do. 2 smokes in his back pocket, a drone if he so requires it, and 4 players to bring down for the round win. With only 60 seconds on the clock, though, Tim, it's feeling a little bit difficult for that. Koi again making the right kind of decision, looking to step back here as well. As they found themselves in a 4v1, why go hunting after him? Why give him potential free kills? Just sit very happy in here to spray through the ceiling. Leon almost losing his life, but getting away with half HP.
Let's see the nitro detonated. Will not find its mark as Shinka continues to roam above and see if he can find anybody. He's using that super shorty just to open up the angles, but he's going to find himself challenged pretty soon. I think there's somebody just lurking down there in Trophy. Leon it is, who's, I think, got one mind, one eye on those solarium stairs, but he's not going to rush his way up there. They know that time can win this one for them, and so can Bullets, as Deepak manages to find the headshot from underneath, takes a trophy from Trophy as he finds himself another round, and that's going to be 4-3, Koi in the lead.
Ooh, keep on talking about how spicy these groups are getting, but with the way things are trending here, you feel like Koi, especially with how definitive that round was, have got a little bit of an advantage, and Wolves have got a bit of work to do to battle their way back in. Just so hard to predict play day to play day who's going to be beating who, Tim.
It is, and that's what I love about this format, because also think about it this way: we've got the 2 groups, and this isn't even something that we've mentioned yet. The 2 groups that we've seen, these teams in a few short play days' time are going to come up against each other. You've got the potential then for those mix-up of teams, from the 2 groups, and that just adds another level of spice on top of it. It's just so unpredictable.
So what Corey points are we at now then? We were talking about Cormers and all sorts earlier.
In terms of spice, I think in terms of the groups, we might be hitting sort of Vindaloo levels, Des.
Vindaloo was the name I had in my mind as well.
We're really getting up there. You know, we're really getting up there to the top spice levels in terms of the groups now.
It's only play day 2.
Versus what sort of expectations we had at the beginning as well.
Where do you go from a Vindaloo, though, if you really want to, do some damage?
I don't know. I'm not.
I'm not like a curry connoisseur. That's for sure.
I don't know where you'd maybe look beyond that.
I don't know. Some curry connoisseurs can tell us.
I'm sure they will.
And then we can reference these spicy levels in week 3 on the final play day groups.
I'm sure they will. But yeah, it's the thought is tantalising of some of these teams from Group A meeting teams from Group B as well. Absolutely tantalising. As is that kill from Shinka, manages to find Noodle, and that is exactly the sort of start that Wolves needed. Noodle absolutely destroyed them at the beginning of the last round, so getting him taken out nice and early is a big play.
Managed to hack through both the default cam and the bulletproof there as well. I wonder if Leon is aware of this. Now he's aware because he's realised, oh, I can't get on my bulletproof. Has to shoot it out. And this really feels like one of the primary spots that we've seen these Brava cams be successful, is in through the lobby door, hack the default cam. If there's a bulletproof on the stairs, hack that as well. Those seem to be the most secure spots right now, but I imagine teams will adapt to that on this map as time goes past.
More than likely crying. He's going to be a long way outside, but he knows that it's a difficult angle to challenge from that particular rappel, and it takes a long time to get down, but they were alert to the danger. Wolves have picked up kills along the way, but now find themselves losing a man in Shinka, taken down by Leader, and that is now 4 versus 2. Wolves still in the serious ascendancy here in round 8 and can keep things level. And to be honest, I feel like Koi have been the better team, so for Wolves to be fighting to keep it level at 4-all, it's actually doing pretty well for them.
No, I massively agree. Yeah, they have stayed really competitive, and I look again down the kill feed or the kill scoreboard on either side, and the balance for the whole of Wolves at the minute is really impressive, that everyone is getting themselves involved in this game. But you are looking for someone to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and really drive it forward, but you won't complain about team efforts either, especially with how things are looking to go here in this round, evening things up at potentially 4 apiece. 60 seconds left, 2v4. Can Koi hold on?
Cryan's just using some fancy footwork to keep himself alive inside a dining there, wanting to peek in towards main lobby, but Wolves, they're not rushing anything here, and I like that. They know that they have time, but let's not see them use too much of it. We see the drop come through into sight. Deadshot trying to find the man just inside the connector, can't do so, but Mowgli can. Mowgli also picks up Cryan, a nice double at the end to finish for Wolves, and that leaves us 4 on the scoreboard, and this one, there is very little to separate these two teams.
Absolutely. Again, it feels like a real derby between these two teams. Something that we're used to seeing, Koi and Wolves really going at each other, and it's starting to feel like it's boiling up to that kind of point. Wine and Snowmobile, the next site we go into, the one that we commented earlier on, was one of those more difficult sites for Wolves to attack into. We'll see if the stats hold true.
Exactly. I want overtime. I just want to see as much of this as possible. Both teams are playing well. I don't feel like anybody's desperately losing things here. There's not terrible mistakes coming out. What we're seeing is players like Noodle going in there and getting a 3 kill and just opening things up and creating space, and that's been fantastic to watch so far. Entertainment in this one definitely at a peak.
This downstairs one's an interesting one because, again, we've seen such varied attacks onto it for me. Some coming in through the main snowmobile door, some coming in down through trench, some coming down through the dining hatch at the same time. An interesting extension out from Leon as well here, reinforcing up around this split, so you've got the ability to play inside of there, challenge in towards this double window where some teams like to start, but it also gives you the ability to challenge inside of here, inside of mud. So really your main goal in terms of reinforcing that wall down at the bottom side of games room is to be able to challenge on towards the bottom of those stairs, stop anyone walking down into blue, for example. So looks like we're going to see Koi being at least a little bit more aggressive out on their holds.
Noodle up on the top floor is being supported, sort of a soft support from Cryan there on the stairs. He can come up, he can go down, he's just about ready if needs be. But Wolves at the minute not leaning immediately into the top floor clearance. They're going to open the snowmobile wall. Bibu's going to hang around for the time being, but it looks like Shinka is heading round to the rear side. They don't have an ace on side, so they are going to be limited to the hard breach of the thermite and the 2 secondary gadgets of the Book of P4, so they need to be careful that they're not losing those players because they need to be opening up this rear side. But as it stands, Wolves have done nothing about the 2 top floor players.
Yeah, it's something we've commented on a couple of times in this game as well. I think it was Koi who made the error earlier on in terms of staring at the site and looking to work hard on that whilst ignoring the 3 roamers that were around. And the Collapse came through. We saw a little bit of hurt being done on site itself. This round could very much end up being the same way. Now, Leon's here looking for a challenge on towards Mowgli. I mentioned about him wanting to be the one to contest these stairs. It's a two-man swing. Thank God Leon got that one, because that could have gone wrong very quickly.
That's going to be 4 versus 4 then in that quick trade-off, and it's again down to Wolves to push the attack here and get themselves, making sure they've got the control of the map, and Noodle only just being pushed back down West Main stairs towards site, manages to get down there safely. Crying, he's going to try to hold on to Dining. The hatch in there can be all important, as we know, and that again is another position Wolves maybe need to force him out of, but he could drop back down here. But of course, as the Oryx, he's got the freedom, he can move back up and down, absolutely no problem.
I mean, for Crying here, he's more there in case someone does try and push him down the backside, but realistically, every single player of Wolves is down here on the south, working their way down blue stairs, looking for the main stairs, looking for the hatch lobby in towards Connector, just everything being on this side of the map. So at some point, Crime will have to move, and personally, I think I'd quite like to see a backstab from him, work your way through the map, rather than being on the downstairs with the rest of your team, see what damage you can do.
Leon as the Legion knows that Deadshot is on the blue stairs here. There was a goo mine activated and he's just waiting. He knows he's low health, so he doesn't really want to take a gunfight. He's hoping he's not been droned, and then he can just get him an absolute freebie. If Deadshot's aware, he would get the kill if he got it positioned correctly, but Shinka's going to be in a position to start putting the diffuser down. Noodle picks up P4 though, and right now that is actually a bit of a coup, but I don't think they're going to be able to hold on to this. I'm not sure. Bibu's got a long angle though. It is possible, but there could be a combined run out from Koi here, but he's just keeping himself covered. This is smart from Bibu.
You can play that. This is going to be so interesting in a 1 versus 4, but diffuser's down. It's so rare that you see this kind of situation. Trees with a little bit of cover as well. Do they know where he is? I think they've got a bit of an idea, but they're going to try and get this one on the long arm. And there we go! At the first time of asking, Deepak finds the long-range kill, a 4-0 in the end in standing of players for Koi, and they take round 9 over to Professor Fresh once again.
I think we've seen exactly what we predicted, where Wolves struggled to attack Kitchen. Wolves just about struggled to attack Wine. Obviously, it came down to a bit of a potential clutch coming out there, but it didn't come through. I think going into these last 3 rounds, it's obviously only 5-4. It's up in the balance. The big thing for both of these teams is team play. That very last round just there, Mowgli locked himself in a position where he couldn't be refragged. You saw Koi double swung to get the refrag onto him. The same with Deadshot on the blue stairs. I want to see Wolves put themselves into positions where they can refrag each other out and not just rely on these hero players that keep coming out.
Love it. Thank you very much, Fresh. So again, Tim, looking out for that trade-based play. Teamwork being the core part of his message there.
Yeah, that's it. You know, they've got to start, putting Koi in difficult positions if they can, and ensuring that there's a minimum of the trade. And the way that you do that is you push them in a 2v1. You find a defender, you move in together with a couple of you, and you just create that situation that it's essentially what we would call, a no-win situation for the defender. The best they can do is take one with them, but they're going to die either way. And if they can start improving on that side of things, Wolves, obviously then they're going to have better manpower, they're going to have more utility, taken out and in a better position to push on 2 sites. Round 10 then, as Wolves have, despite I think being the second team in the server here to a Koi that are looking much better than yesterday, they've kept themselves within 1 round. It's good. They got the diffuser down last round. It wasn't ideal, but as Fresh has quite rightly pointed out, the difficulty is on attack, and they are going to continue on sites that they may struggle with, Kitchen and Dining being the choice for Koi.
Absolutely, but I'm looking towards, say, for example, the Ying here. When all else fails, bring in the Ying. Roll out the Candelas, the smokes, anything else you may need from the rest of your team to make and execute happen. We spoke about the number of bans. I think we saw 2 bans against us so far today, and just commented that really, for teams who want to make and execute happen hard and fast, it's the way to do it. And that may well be the play here as well. They're looking to just go pretty hard on this top 4, ensure they've got coverage inside of Solar, but Noodle is in the right position. He's ready to challenge here. Leon's already found 1, and as long as the Warden does his job upstairs, they should be able to keep this going, Tim.
Ooh, nearly sees the foot, but somehow Deepak gets up and wins the fight. Leader picks one up along the way, and that's going to leave us now in a 5 versus 1. Shinka has only one thing going for him here, Des, and that is time. 1 minute 45 is an absolute age left on the clock because Wolves, they tried to just rush, they tried to get in there, they tried to have an immediate impact on site, but Koi were ready, and unfortunately for Wolves on this map, nothing they do seems to work when attacking a couple of these sites, and they found it once again. Now, Shinka is not in that position that we sometimes talk about, saying the unofficial timeout. That's not what's happening. He's just waiting for an opportunity. He's going to put himself on library window, get himself inside, see if anybody pushes, see if anybody wants that kill. Maybe he picks up 1 or 2, and a 1v3 certainly looks better than a 1v5.
I understood the intent as well in terms of trying to keep Solar as the no-go zone so no one could challenge vertically onto the players coming in towards Trophy. But those Trophy players got in and were stood up against a soft wall that wasn't fully open. Of course, you could see through it, but they kind of looked a bit stuck, and that was when Deepak sprung up and found a 2K that basically guaranteed his team the round. Crying closes out on towards Shinka, but again, I come back to those Candelas. There were 2 in back pocket, there were smokes available, yet they were used to kind of hit an area of the map that was somewhat critical to the execute, but with some pace would have been completely irrelevant for the defenders. Either way, Koi handled it well. They move up to 6 and 4, and Wolves are looking just about donezo on this map, Tim, but they take a timeout to give themselves a little bit of breathing room and see if they can formulate a plan to battle back in.
Well, it's maybe not the worst time because they're likely to be attacking onto Bar and Gaming. It's a site that they've already won. So, yeah, get your discussion, get everything levelled off now. You're going back in on a site you can be reasonably confident on. If you can have your tack time out, do all that work, go back in and win a round, it's really going to help your momentum. Of course, they need to be winning the next 2 as well, but just going into a round that you are comfortable with the site you're attacking is going to do them a world of good. They potentially win this one. It's 6-5. They then need to do what they haven't so far and get the win on one of those difficult 2 sites. But I think this is actually a really well-timed tactical timeout.
Well, it is the only time that's really going to make sense. Another round and they'd have been done for. It's literally the last chance they have. Bar and Gaming going to be where Koi step into. I believe the one site that we have seen Wolves have a little bit of success on so far, and that Brava once again making a return. Maybe it's a chalet thing. We saw it a little bit on Villa as well, or a couple of maps again where she's becoming quite viable. It turns out. I think one thing I forgot because I haven't really had a chance to play her yet. Super Short is the secondary. Not bad on maps like this, where you've got to do a lot of vertical destruction. Yep. I know she's not really a replacement for like a Buck or a Sledge, but gets part of the way towards doing a job. It's like the alternative of bringing Thatcher is DKB with the mini impact EMPs, right?
Well, the thing is as well, it starts making her, it changes maybe the sort of players that can pick up and play Brava because it makes her self-sufficient. She can go out there and just do a job on her own. She doesn't need somebody to go along and support her. She doesn't need that, very much in the same way that we've seen Ace in that position. We've seen, yes, still used as a support sometimes, but for example, players like Doki, who would never normally touch a hard breacher, bringing along Ace because good gun, can hard breach, can play pretty much solo. And Brava, I think, is potentially fitting into that sort of realm, can provide intel for herself, can open up angles, can do an awful lot.
I think I see something that's rattling me here. Red light, can we just take a look at this mezzanine balcony? Can we look at where the kind of like grey boards join to the brown ones, please? See, who would pay for that?
What, the
grey join the brown? Why would you do that?
I don't know. Maybe it's an aesthetic choice, Des. Maybe
it's a poor one.
Maybe it's a style thing.
Why? It's horrible. Look, you get rattled about main stairs. I get rattled about really badly placed planks.
You're not happy with the decor?
No.
No, fair enough.
Imagine if you bought a chalet and you walked into that. That's the first thing you see in the lobby.
Imagine if you bought a chalet. Okay.
Maybe you will pull your money together.
I didn't think I'd be imagining that today.
Oh, no, you are.
Imagine you bought a chalet.
And you saw that. How would you feel? All your life savings pulled together for this one moment.
I mean, surely I'd have seen it before I bought it, so...
You'd hope so. But maybe they concealed it with a massive rug.
I've only got myself to blame at that point, haven't I?
Maybe they concealed it with a massive rug. You don't know.
Here we go. Mowgli, he's going to be looking to potentially hop out and back in of windows here, I think, just opening that up. But he's going to take the drone for the time being, maybe going to pressure onto that library window as well. Here goes the Brava drone, just moving around underneath. This is... The thing is, we focus so much on the Clutch drone about how it can capture electronics.
And its horrible name.
We're not focusing on the fact that it can actually work as a drone. On top of everything else, it's extra drones on your team to be able to go in and gather that information. Not in like a Flores way where it's time limited or anything. You can just use them as drones as well. And
it's the same as Twitch. They are 2 extra on
exactly.
your team.
It's just extra drones on your team. And we see the strength of Twitch and Iana and, people that are bringing extra information utility, especially on top of a gadget like that.
I completely agree. Well, they're still trying to march their way forward. Speaking of Flores, it is a drone-heavy round as well, because you've got the clutches rolling around, you've got the Flores on side. I've seen Twitch now, I need echoes.
Drone wars.
We really have got robot wars underway.
We really do. Mowgli is going to take down Noodle. That's a strong start for Wolves. This is what they needed. P4 gets one, but Leader leads the fight back as he finds that trade. 3 versus 4. Deepak, Leader and Crying have got it all to do, though. 30 seconds left to go. This is a site that they haven't won so far. Wolves did manage to find a way last time. Can they do it again? Just opening up those vertical angles, but time is ticking by.
Don't know if they know that Deepak's here as well. He's in a pretty good spot to watch that hatch from range where they won't be able to see him because they can't play on that left side of the hatch to challenge. Leader comes up from the basement, finds one. There's a second player inside of Mud. I don't think they know. Crying springs out and gets one. Deepak's on the deck, but it's a 1v2 with 5 seconds to go. Shinka's going in for a plant, but can they stop this one? They need the range on it. Goes for a spray, can't find the man. They almost find him, but it's a post plant now for Crying to end this out here and now. 7-4 for his team. He's got to find both of these players on his own.
He does. He's going to try and work from the hatch here, Des. He's got the vertical angle, just misses his man. Timing really hasn't been his friend in this 1v2 and just misses the feet as they step out of the main door. Crying has to start working his way back down the main stairs, and they know where he's coming from. They're hiding around the side of the fireplace. It's going to be a matter of time. Shinka steps out and gets the kill, and Wolves take us to that 12th round, and so close for Crying, Des. I think everybody at home, hands up if you were the same as me. You thought as he sprayed at the silhouette that he might just find his man, but as the wall opened up, there was the metal cabinet in front of him, and you knew that it was probably all over.
That's it. If he found the other man and turned it into a 1v1, suddenly Shinka starts getting cold feet. Does he stick the plant? Does he come off? Does he risk being sprayed to the soft wall? But sadly, just can't get away with any of that. Wolves give themselves this one last chance to send us through to overtime and keep the dream alive of taking their first point here in the European League.
The big problem for them that they face, though, is they are back on one of those 2 sites, Kitchen, Dining, Wine and Snowmobile. As Fresh pointed out at the beginning of this, that those are the sites that they struggle with. Those are the ones that they struggle to attack. And that is where they have to get it done. Koi are surely going to be taking a lot of confidence from that fact. We're going to have Leon out in the map. He's getting the goo mines down. We've seen him roaming quite a lot so far. 9 kills. He's going well, and he's going to have to be shut down. He's going to have Noodle in support, and they certainly have been a dynamic duo so far this map.
Haven't they just? Well, Noodle's going across and to bring in along that Solis. We've spoken about it all night long, all of yesterday as well. Super disruptive to the attackers' plans. And truthfully, when you've seen quite a bit of Brava rolling around the map, I do not think it is all a bad thing to bring as a somewhat preventative measure. I commented on this earlier on, and when we spoke about it yesterday, Brava's got a really good gadget, but with Solis being the previous operator that came out that is still really strong in the game, it does somewhat reduce the effectiveness. If Solis wasn't a thing, suddenly we're having a very different conversation.
Wolves have sent a couple of players up onto the roof, I believe, so I would imagine they're going to be looking. You've got P4 out there by West Main, you've got one, B-Boot all the way up there top floor looking down to piano window, so they are acutely aware of this top floor. I don't think they dealt with it quick enough last time. This time they're going to play directly into it. They need to pick up those 2 kills though. It's Noodle and it's Crying that are up there. If they can come away with anything here, Des, I don't think Crying just sees the drone there. He doesn't, so there's going to be at least a bit of information still in place for Wolves. Mowgli's getting aggressive there as well.
Just making sure there's no one playing on the stairs. Being able to roll that grenade down means that you have the freedom to move around without worry of someone swinging you, because they'll see that nade indicator and know they won't have time to step forward, kill you, and not die to the grenade at the same time. So Koi continue to move themselves around the map a little bit here as well. Now, Wolves looking like the spot where they've got all 5 players alive. They haven't been disrupted in the early round. That sets them up well to start thinking about this execute.
Mowgli, he's going to make the push downstairs, but Leon's Legion goo mine is well placed, and that's at least going to give a little bit of a warning for them on site. Wolves are operating with a little bit of freedom here now. In goes a nade there, just looking to clear out any personnel or gadgetry that stands in the way. We can see the I think it was the EE1D scan there that was just pinging out a player across at the top of West Main, moving into Kitchen, and that is going to give something for the attackers to try and hunt down Deadshot. Manages to find Leon.
Oh!
This might be happening, Des. That's a big double from Deadshot.
I mean, there's 2 players still off site here as well, so Koya really nowhere to be seen. It's essentially a 5v1 on site that Wolves can win, and they pulled this game back from the brink to guarantee what appears to be overtime, Tim, unless Noodle can do it all by himself.
We're going to be cut down by Mowgli, who picks up a double, and Wolves somehow win one of those unwinnable sides, and we're going to overtime, Des.
Of course we are. So, Fresh is in once again. Fresh, what do you make of that?
Oh, I've been waiting to hear that we are going to overtime, Des. Second time today. I think it was more of the same, really, apart from that very final round there. Now, the thing for Wolves, as I was saying, I wanted them to team play a little bit more. They obviously went and won the bar attack. They won that previous attack just then by Deadshot making a bit of a hero play. That's one thing that Koi haven't been able to fully keep under wraps today. We've seen a couple of ratty plays, a couple of hero plays, and that's what happens when you have such a talented roster. Now, looking forward to this, we're going to see Koi attack into the overtime. It was a 3-3 split for them on the overtime where they struggled to attack onto the garage and to master bedrooms. That's where I'm looking at Wolves going. Obviously, when they get back on the defence, I would be expecting Koi to go to that kitchen site. I think we might be going to all the way to 15 here.
You didn't say all the way to 15, Des.
We're going all the way to 15, Des.
Love it. There you go,
There you
Tim.
go. Love it.
We're all absolutely wrapped in. Thank you very much, Professor. I keep going to say, it's so hard to say Professor Fresh, but I want to say that Professor.
Profession. That's it though. That's
It
the
is,
name.
but I keep trying to say Professor Fresh and it keeps mixing together.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue very easily,
No,
does it? Professor.
Professor's a really weird one. I mean, now I've said it
It's because of the 2 R's. Because of the 2 R's being separated.
Now it's like pro-fresher. It's like someone who's gone to uni 4 or 5 times and gone through that first year experience too many times. A pro-fresher.
I quite like it. We'll have to get him a lab coat.
I tell you what, those are death segments in waiting, they are. Over to the Professor and his stick. Pointing at a board, so see here, chaps, here's what's been going on. I don't know why suddenly he's a real posh British person, but I've decided that he is.
I love that you developed the accent.
He's got like a moustache and everything.
Here we go then, Wolves are on the defence. It's going to be Kitchen and Dining to start us off. We are into overtime, which means, of course, the point allocations will change. Winner gets 2 points, loser will get 1, so both are guaranteed something at least. Koi will not come away from the first 2 play days empty-handed. That much is a guarantee, but there is still a lot to fight for. We've seen so far in these groups that every point is going to count, so they need to fight for as many as they can get. Wolves are up on the top floor in terms of personnel. The site, of course, Kitchen Dining, but they're wanting to hold on above for as long as they can.
Yeah, again, for those of you who maybe weren't really 100% clear on how the points work, but if you get a win in regulation, i.e. you get to 7 rounds for your opponents, well, if they have 5 and you have 7. If we win in 12, then you get all 3 points. If you win in overtime, you get 2. If you lose in overtime, you get 1. If you lose in regulation, you get nothing. So you are rewarded with something for managing to make it to this stage of the game, which both teams now have, which you can see as a loss for obviously the eventual winning team. They'd like to have all 3 points, but they let it go on too long. But for the loser, at least it doesn't sting as badly as taking away 0 points. So both teams are guaranteed at least 1. Now across these next 3 rounds of overtime, they're fighting for 2.
Deepak just opening up the office balcony window there, just again applying that pressure across top floor. It's not where the defenders are going to be immediately. They're going to be deeper than that, but it does cut off a rotation out through, potentially mezzanine over the balcony or any sort of flank particularly. So again, just offering a little bit of safety for the attackers. Halfway in the round yet, Des, and only just starting to open up those walls.
They are. I don't think they're too worried about this. So they've been doing their drone homework as best they can. Against the Solus especially, it's a real battle. 5 drones have gone down here in the course of that first half of the round. The information you can get is limited because of the Solus as well. So they're making the best of a bad situation in that case. I keep on speaking about Solus. She is just that level of impressive at the impressive and oppressive at the moment.
Both in equal measure. I would have said Leon is just going to be sending in the Bravo drone, spots out. They've absolutely no idea. The Solus gets seen, goes out of the window, but the warning was there. Noodle had already reacted, and that's really well played from Koi, not getting caught out there, using that utility well. I'm not sure that the Bravo drone was still taken out by P4 though.
It wasn't, no.
Which I would have to question. You've got to take that utility out. It's one shot. You've got to make sure it's gone.
Probably a little bit harder to see as well. I'm not more used to seeing the kind of circular drones, obviously, whereas this thing is quite literally more of a tank. And here we go then. Starting out on the trophy side of things will make this a little bit harder for the defenders to move around in. Deadshot chooses to play the Solar Stairs side, where Noodle is now hanging upside down, waiting for a victim to approach.
One thing I will say before we get into the final 30 seconds very quickly is the Bravo drones do feel very fast. I will say, I don't know whether
because they're so massive.
I don't know whether it's just my terrible aim or what, but they do seem very nippy. Shinka is going to pick up Leon, and that is a late opener there with only 15 seconds left on the clock. Advantage Wolves, but there comes a couple of kills. Noodle, leader, stepping up, and Koi able to get this attack potentially, but no, Deepek running in completely blind. 5 seconds left to go, and the kills are continuing. They go in the favour of Koi, but the diffuser is down. Shinka just needs to hold on, and hold on he will, and that is an advantage in overtime to Wolves, who have been consistently behind on Chalet.
A real, not so much a backstab there, more a stab to the front coming out of P4 as he hung in close by the smokes, used them to his advantage to play in just behind them, and honestly thought for a few seconds we'd see a massive big brain play, not forgetting that of course you can see when a plant is going down as well. So he could have sat inside the smokes, made good use of the gadget of the Solis and saw the plant going down, but he didn't have to because the plant came to him. The ace came charging for, he gets the down, Koya forced to scramble, and even in a 3 versus 1 the clock was not on their side and Wolves take that win.
Here we go, kitchen and dining as predicted by Professor, as Koi are just trying to...
Are you used to saying it now?
I think I've got it there, didn't I?
Professor.
I thought I'm going to try and throw it in there.
Nice, I
think I got it, yeah.
I'm down, Professor.
Professor. You've just got to really think about it before
Professor
you say
with the
it.
refresher, that's what he does.
Yeah, you've got to really think about it before you say it.
You do.
Right, kitchen and dining it will be then, as Koi know that they need this round to keep themselves in it. Professor, he predicted 15 rounds. Koi are going to have to find a defence.
Why is he now a fortune teller? God.
Who knows? We're about
in the lab.
We're about to find out. Koi need to get this. They've won this site twice already. Wolves haven't really had the answer. So Koi have got to be feeling a lot of confidence coming into this. We've got Bibu and Deadshot already heading up towards the top floor. They're going to look to get themselves inside a library, try to push across, clear out Master, clear out Office, and give themselves those verticals. One thing I will say is that Wolves felt pretty emphatic in the last round, and I think there's definitely some momentum that they can carry forward here.
Well, momentum they so sorely need is the only way I can look at it, Tim, because if you're riding off the high of that last round, again, it's 2 points going to you and just 1 going to Koi. A big focus on this north side of the building as well. 2 players directly on the north, then Deadshot off towards the left, and 1 more off towards the right. So Koi must know that's where the pressure is starting to build. It is Shinka watching in towards Trophy, and Bibu on the double window. So a full solar side take. They are ignoring Library, they are ignoring Mez. Everything is about the top side, but right now they're losing their head. How has he got away with that? What on earth? But a C4 comes through. Deepek finds his man, and Koi have the man advantage, at least for now.
Koi so lucky not to lose another, but managed to maintain 4 versus 3 here, and Wolves can count their lucky stars as well. That could have gone much worse for them. What a little mid-round clash we've just had there. It leaves 3 dead and only 7 left to try and close out the round. It's 4 versus 3, Koi with the advantage, but you really do feel like this is a site that they can hold on to. They've still got some pressure up there on the top floor that Wolves haven't been able to deal with, and right now I don't know exactly how Wolves are going to proceed.
Absolutely. What I do like about that, though, is for Wolves, fair play to them, they committed hard to trying to force their way through this top floor. I've said for both teams they've ignored roamers a couple of times, and it has bit them once or twice. So their go-to answer was to try and break it open. They've been punished by a good roam coming out of Koi, who may be able to force us into that round 15. Crying taking down Deadshot as he comes through the rotate. His teammate just watching in full lifeless before his eyes. Only 2 left standing. Tim, it sounds like we're going all the way to 15.
It certainly does, as Leon picks up Mowgli. It's all up to Shinka, 1v4. We know that he's got the clutch capability in his locker, but it's unlikely in this situation. 40 seconds, so he's got plenty of time to work with, if nothing else, but he just can't find the angle. Koi are playing this super smart. They don't need to peek. They know they don't need to move. They've got all the angles covered, and there's no way. I was going to say they will peek out, but Leon does decide to have a go, loses his life for it, but Cryan is there to mop up the spillage, and he will take the final kill, and that puts us all the way to 15.
Oh boy. We've had 3-3 halves. We've now... Was it 4-2 halves, sorry?
No, 3-3.
It was 3-3.
Nothing to separate these
I
two.
remember talking about the 4-2 and being like, it's a dream.
Nothing to separate these two.
Nothing. And the final site we head to is Wine and Snowmobile. There we go, all locked in. Tim, I'm sure you got the stats there on your device of an unnamed kind. How we looked on this historically?
Wolves on the defence only defended Wine once. It was in round 4 and they won. 100% win rate, but only sample size of 1.
If you're a gambling man, you'd probably fancy Wolves to win this one out, even with the small sample size like that. But let's see how things shape up, because I remember commenting on it previously that realistically, you get open the main breach, there was no Dinar with a Bandit, a Kaid, for example, but you do have a mirror window staring you down. And last time round, it took a charge in through the breach to run straight at the mirror window, knock the glass out, and they even tried to use it, let's not forget. I believe it was Wolves on the attack back then. They used it to try and get a plant down behind the mirror window itself that they just could not stick. So we'll see if the same comes out to be here, but I like this aggressive roam also on the top floor from Shinka. Probably more of acknowledgement that you don't need to have both mirrors on site. One is plenty.
It is. You only really need one down in basement. It's going to be looking, as it always is, onto Snowmobile Garage. Sometimes it's fair to say, and this is something, you can take away for your games at home as well. If you're going to play mirror, don't always feel like you have to deploy both, because a bad mirror is way worse than just keeping it in your pocket and not having it out there at all. If you put one that can just be opened easily, you're giving a free line of sight right into the heart of your defence usually. So absolutely, if there's no position there, get it on a different part of the map, keep it in your pocket. It's not an issue at all. But what Shinka's done is actually really smart. It allows Deadshot to play mezzanine, it aids him in keeping hold of Library, and again, it just extends this defence to a point where Koi have got so much work to do.
Almost takes Mowgli's head for free there, but Mowgli fortunate to walk away with half of his HP. Now I'm going to try and move a little more gingerly back in towards site, but it's Bibu starting things out with the entry, and it's onto the Thermite, who has already done his job, admittedly, Tim, but it's still a pick regardless.
It is a big pick. Obviously, they've got Leon on side as well, so if they've got other holes that need to be opened at the back of site, which we can see that they have, it's still doable. So it's not the end of the world, but in terms of man count, it's certainly not ideal. They've got the ace as well with Leader, but he's going to need a little bit of support to get those, get the mute jammers off there. It can be dealt with. Yes, they need the mute jammers cleared. Yes, frags would help that. But they can walk in potentially. They can shoot a couple off. And as they start clearing other angles out, they will get there. But it's a risk. It's a risk is the key.
Blue is the problem here as well. You try and go for these, you are in trouble. But with the hatch on side, now it's opened up as well. They should be in a good spot to get those off so that we can see Trench opened up and we can continue on with the round. Noodles rotating his way down to pick up the diffuser, I imagine, and try and look for potentially a push to come in through this main breach. Of course, the one thing they're really missing here, though, Tim, is the two smokes that would have really helped them to get through the mirror. With Thermite offline, those aren't an option.
I was just wondering what had ended up with Deadshot's position, because of course he started on mezzanine, and it was a smart play because we've seen a lot of pushes towards the front side of the site, so he was then in a position to be able to drop back downstairs. But Mowgli, he's going to pick up Leon. Cryan manages to find P4, and this needs to be the start of the fight back for Kai, and it will be. Kills come in, one goes in either direction, 2 versus 3, time ticking by, but how about that for a big double from Noodle Des? He just goes through, one walks in, but Bibu will put him in the bin as he manages to find the shots through and just takes out the planter. 20 seconds left to go. It's 1v1, Des.
And Cryan's got no HP left. A body shot from Bibu is enough, but he's making use of the Kiva barricade. I did wonder when I saw it. Is that smart? My answer would be no. Cryan comes off. He takes the fight, and Koi will take the 2 points they so sorely wanted. Wolves will have to settle with 1.
What a finish from Cryan in the 1v1. That is the definition of big brain play. Noodle has already been taken down at the side of the green bin. You can find the angle through there. You can be shot. Cryan grabs that diffuser and thinks, no, I'm not going down to the same fate. Heads over to the snowmobile.